Page 46, Wild Flowers. This is in the key of A major. It's got 3 sharps. Make sure you can do the scale, A major scale. And while you're at it, go ahead and do the F sharp minor scale, because it also has 3 sharps. Do them both. I explain everything in the scale videos. 3/4 time. Let's make sure we got the notes and the rhythms and the fingerings first. Right hand, you're here. You have a pickup beat. You're coming out on beat 3. 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. See that half note tied to an 8th note? You can see the quarter notes in the bottom staff, and they'll keep you lined up so that 8th note comes in between them. Okay. Keep going. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. Cross over. Don't forget the G sharp. It's in the key signature. 2 and cross over again. Now, if you don't want to be putting a thumb on that, which I don't, then we have to adjust the fingering, so we don't have to. And there's different fingerings you can try. It's really kind of up to you and what you're comfortable with. You're in a position where you're still learning. You're learning new fingering patterns, you're learning new things, so I wouldn't worry too much about comfortable with, because when you try something new, it's not all that comfortable all the time, but as you do it more and more, it becomes comfortable. So careful on, well, this is more comfortable, I'll do it. Step out of that line just a little bit and try other things. So on this measure 5 here, you could, one of the possibilities is you come over to 4th finger. And then it's here. Then you can do a 3 and a 2/4. Here if you want. Because in measure 8 you got to move up anyway. And you're going to lift up between the phrases. So you can do that if you want. Or measure 5, play it just like it's written. And then you can do a 3-1 and a 2-3. Another way of doing it. You pick one, and if it's different than the book, pencil it in and stick with it. And if this pattern comes up again later, same fingering. Now going on measure 8, however you fingered before, you lift up and move. It's 3-2-1, 3-2-1. This is very common pattern. I recommend it highly. 1, 2, and 3. And you're doing this some more. Now reach up, 2nd finger there on measure 11. Because we got to come up. And then C natural, F natural. And a G natural. And thumb comes down. Weird, huh? But that's what they did. I don't know. And then we're still naturals here. Because the sharps are in the key signature. So you have to do natural. And then 3rd finger, measure 15. It's here and then 3rd. They want here and then here. Now, they've given you the courtesy. See this measure 18. The G has a sharp sign with parentheses. That's a courtesy sign. The G is sharped anyway. You don't need the sharp sign. And they gave you a natural sign. They want an F natural here. But this is kind of important. If you're into writing music or arranging music or whatever, you want to be real clear. So if there's any chance the reader or the musician who's looking at your music might misinterpret it, then do it. Put in the courtesy sign to be clear. So here they're telling you, yes, this is a G sharp. Even though you've had G naturals now for quite a while, we want the G sharp and the F natural, both. So I agree with doing what they've done here. Yes, it's a good idea. And then you're back to what you were doing. It's 2nd and then a 2nd again. And then you're back to the fingering you had at the beginning. Let's go down to measure 23. It's here. Now they're telling you 4th finger. This is one of the suggestions I made before. Because now you're going to reach down through the B. Now if you're going to do it here with 4th finger, then maybe it would be best to use 4th finger on measure 5 also, so that you're consistent between the two. on that part. And then measure 26, just lift up. And then we have this cadenza. Just get the notes here, don't worry too much about rhythm. It's 2, 1, 3, 1. And then the cadenza ends at the fermata, and then it's going on. A little bit about cadenzas. It's typical. A lot of pieces do this. They'll give you a fermata like in measure 26. And left hand too. That's a lot of times a signal to the creative performer to add a little improvise, make stuff up here, show off a little bit. It's a cadenza. That's what it's for. You get to show off a little bit. There's no time signature necessarily. There's no measures. I mean, there can be. It doesn't have to be. I mean, if you look at measure 27, there's a whole lot more than 3 beats in that. The idea is it is a cadenza, period. So instead of holding necessarily, I mean, you can hold if you want to, but a lot of times rather than holding, you'll just do something. You'll do a cadenza, make it up, whatever. That's their signal. Now in this piece, they put the fermata in, the hold, and that's fine, you can hold it. Then they give you the cadenza, and at the end of the cadenza, they give you another hold. It's like the signal. Okay, the cadenza is over. See, a lot of cadenzas, if you're playing with other people, the cadenza will end with a trill, and that's kind of the signal. Okay, the cadenza is over now, we're ready to go on, and the conductor knows that they can start conducting again and go on, because the soloist can trill indefinitely until the conductor finally decides, oh, is this what we're doing? We'll go on now. Well, here it's a solo. You don't need a trill necessarily. You could have done a trill, but they just put in the fermata, hold it for a little bit, not too long, just a little bit, and then with these last 3/8 notes, those are in time, those are in tempo. With whatever your 1, 2, those are in tempo. These other notes in the cadenza are not in tempo. They're just whatever. You can play them slow, you can play them fast, you can slow up and speed up and slow down and speed up. Do something. No, I don't know. So it's what is. I kind of put in a retard there because they want you to get louder anyway. But now the fingering, I don't really care for the fingering here because they got you using the thumb a little too much for me. They have you here and a thumb again and a thumb again, and then you can do all the rest in that position. Well, I would prefer, I think, to go here. I'll do all of this in one position, and then all I got to do is come up with second finger. I used thumb twice. I used it here, and I used it on the A, and that's it. You have to work out a fingering that works for you, and you don't have to play this fast. You can. It's totally improvised. That means there's no beat. It's all free. That's what they mean, play freely. No beat to it. You just play it. Here, and you hold that out for a while, and now the beat comes back, and 3 and 3 and 1. And you finish it off. Last 2 measures. You're here, 1 and 2. They have a here and then here. That is a B and a G sharp and an E at the end. Now I suggest at the end this fingering. I don't care for this fingering. They've got a 1, 2, 5, and then you got to come up with 5 again. Don't recommend it. I mean, you're slowing down a lot. It goes real slow here. I still don't care. It's one of the reasons I try and play things legato is so I can have a fingering that works legato. And that's the fingering I tend to use, whether it's legato or not. So here I recommend you do a 1, 2, either a 3 or a 4. 4 is fine here. and then a 2-5. So you take all those notes together. That's the chord. It's an E chord, extended chord in first inversion. That's the fingering for it, so why not just use that? Here, I get them all in one position. I don't have to move around. So that's what I'm recommending. Left hand just has the broken chords. At the beginning, it's an A chord. You see, we've kind of gone down the keyboard. Rest, F natural, rest. Rest. Now we do that some more, and for the most part, that's the left hand. Just put them together slowly. You can see that eighth note comes in between the quarter notes. You got to get off of this because the left hand needs the C sharp, a measure 8. Get off the C, hold the E down, just get off the C sharp. Here, and then lift up. Then on page 47, you get down toward that cadenza there. On measure 26, you're here. Yes, I know, that's what it sounds like. Don't blame me, they did it. And I'm going to hold that half note down in the left hand while I play this, and then I'm going to lift it up when I play the B in the next measure for the cadenza. And then lift, and then go on. The last two measures, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2, and you're holding the left hand down through all of that. Okay. And once you have a handle on that, then go back and get rid of the spots where you're hesitating. The beat can be nice and slow right now, but it has to flow. It's got to be steady. The only time the beat stops flowing in this piece is during the cadenza. When the beat, who knows what the beat does, it's just whatever. Now when I play with a metronome, I have to stay with a metronome, so I'm going to keep the beat steady on that. Then we add in the articulation, which really the only articulation to speak of are the slurs, the phrases. In the left hand, just separate them. They don't have to be staccato, short staccato, just separate them. It helps to reinforce the natural accent, which is the first beat of the measure. So here. In the right hand there on measure 3 here. So it's a phrase, you can hear it. And again lift up. And then lift both hands up. So forth. So put in the phrasing wherever it is. I don't know. Now, on measure 26 here, and the lift up, before you start that, and then this is, they say this is all slurred, although it's really up to you. It doesn't have to be. It's a cadenza. You can do what you want. I can play them staccato or whatever, but it's not really within the nature of this piece. This has been a very smooth flowing piece, so I don't think I would put in a bunch of staccatos in the middle of it. I mean, I know we like contrast, but that's, come on now, let's just go ahead and connect them. But lift up before you go on to start it. It's like taking a breath. And connect this to measure 28. It leads into it, connect it. The end, connect all of this. Connect all of that together. They have it. No, connect it all. And then add the dynamics. That's to the right hand, that's the melody. Moderately soft, whatever you think that is. The left hand needs to be very soft. Measure 7, you're going to crescendo up and then go back down. It's a swell. And the left hand, remember, has been very soft, so it's going to come up to maybe soft and then back down. All the time you're doing this, I want to hear this. I want to hear that note. That's the melody. And then this is sort of a... You need this to be kind of a moderately loud in here, and then go back down to moderately soft. Even though the left hand only went up to soft, go ahead and start this loud. And measure 13 crescendo. Now you're moderately loud here. The left hand's still in the background. So here, you're kind of moderately loud in here. You have to experiment with it and see how it goes. And then on measure 18, you're going to get softer and slow down. Poco means a little bit. You don't slow down a lot, just slow down a little bit. And then the odd tempo means go ahead and resume your tempo you were doing before you slowed down. So. Crescendo. And this is the melody. And then here, loud, and then soft. Crescendo up to that. You can go back up to loud if you want, whatever. And then come back down to moderately soft for measure 28. The end. Molto means a bunch. Yeah. Slow down a lot. Yeah. And then the fermata at the end. Now when I play it with a metronome, I just double the value of the fermatas. So on measure 26, I'm going to hold this fermata out 4 counts. And on the 4th count, I'm going to play that F sharp. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3, hold. And then we're going to go. So it's 1, 1, 2, 3, and then for that next fermata, I'm going to just add an extra beat to it. So it'd be just an extra beat and then go on. At the end, I'll hold that fermata 2 counts, the quarter note. Speed-wise, moderately and expressively. Well, you get the moderately first. And not really fast, not really slow, just in the middle somewhere. There's different speeds this can go. I think about what the expressively part comes after you get to know it and you're not thinking about the dynamics and rhythms and fingering and all that, and you start getting into feeling the music. Then you start thinking about how can you express the music. It's a felt thing. So get to know it well enough that you can play it emotionally, expressively. Then we add pedal. Oh goody. You just gotta love the pedal. They're showing overlapping pedal throughout. And that's typical of Faber. They keep the pedaling simple for you and teach you, let you get into the habit of not listening too closely. If I pedal it the way they're showing it, this is what I get. Does that sound okay? If it does, go with it. I think it sounds terrible. Ugh. Well, I want to get rid of the smeariness, but I like the overtones. So maybe I use the standard waltz pedaling again. There's two kinds. You can either just pedal the first beat of each measure to reinforce the natural accent, or you pedal the first two beats of the measure, whichever. So if I pedal the first beat of the measure, it's this way. Or if I pedal the first two beats of the measure, it's this way. Whichever. So you have to decide on the sound you like. Ultimately, the judge is what you and your hearing and what you like. I think in this particular piece, for the most part, because we have half notes, pedaling the first two beats of each measure seems to work better for this particular case. But on some of the measures, I don't pedal. Like a measure 8, I didn't pedal that at all. I don't want to smear that, and I want to hear the phrasing. And then I can pedal. So whatever, and when you get to like measure 13, this way we can hear the rest. So I can hear the phrasing. Now, when you get to measure 18, I prefer to connect that, because to me this leads into this. And I like to connect that, so I'm going to there. It's like a pickup to it. Just the right hand, not the left. Here, and then this, you can pedal it all if you want. Or not. It's your choice. It's a cadenza. I lift it up on the B. But I suggest you pedal that note. Give it the overtones, because you're going to hang on to it. One of the reasons we pedal it would be to pedal the longer notes to give them color. So put it out. You can add that, and then lift the pedal in the hand at the same time, so we hear a break before you play the eighth notes. At the end, you can hold it down like they're saying there. Last 2 minutes, just hold it down. Let it all come together like that, and then lift the pedal in the hands at the same time. There are different ways of pedaling it. So that's my suggestion on that. I like to play this with you very slowly to double check the notes and the rhythms. And I can do the dynamics, and I can't do any slowing down or anything because I got to stay with a metronome. So I'll give us 2 counts because we come in on beat 3. Let's just try it really, really super slow. Even one hand at a time if you have to. I'm going to try and pedal it like I described. I'm going to do, for the most part, I'll pedal the first 2 beats of every measure, and that's it. Some measures I don't pedal at all. I want to hear the phrasing in the right hand when I can. Ready and go, and. 3,